you're talking about shortage in resources. You're trying to meet up with an infrastructural deficit, yet you're looking at being a model megacity by 2025. All of this looks like, as Mark was about to say, is like you're biting off too much, so to speak. But how would you describe the Lagos economy? Robust?
Lagos
Fledgling?
economy is very vibrant. The Lagos economy, I mean, Lagos is the economic nerve center of this country. It accounts for, a little over a quarter of the GDP of the country. And, if you strip out the oil and gas sector, then it's even, closer to 60% in terms of its contribution to, the GDP. And that's not surprising. That's the nature of, big cities around the world now. Cities, contribute very significantly to the GDPs of their, respective countries. In terms of commercial activities in this country, Lagos accounts for over 60% of that.
Okay.
If you take even banking, on the average, 40% of the networks of all of the banks is here in Lagos. In the power sector, which is the subject of our forthcoming 7th Lagos Economic Summit, the single largest power generation plant in the country, is here in Lagos. The two largest distribution companies, the Eco and Ikeja, discos, are here in Lagos. And between those two, prior to privatization, and I believe now, accounted for about 50% of the revenues of the national power company.
Oh, okay. Yes. The effect of what you have, the population size you have, is where from your statement, the population size and the commercial activities are helping to move the Lagos economy forward. That's what you're saying. But you painted a picture earlier when you compared two families. One with 20 million naira per se, but two children take care of. The other one with 20 million naira, but with 20 children and 4 wives to take care of. And you alluded to the fact that it might be poor, even with the 20 million naira, but you have more people to take care of. Now, in the next, you're having an economic summit. How would that focus on power tie to you having minimal resources with a larger population to take care of and the goals you have?
Well, the point to make, for instance, is, very importantly, is when we talk about the magnitude of investment that is required, to fix the infrastructure of Lagos, we're not talking about how much money government itself has to spend. And that's why it's very clear to us in Lagos that, if we hope, to be able to fix the infrastructure, deficit, provide for growth that is inevitable, then fixing the infrastructure cannot be simply about, how much revenue government, can generate. And that's why up until last year, we ran, deficit budgets where we borrowed to augment our revenues to be able to accelerate the delivery of the infrastructure. That's why for us in Lagos, public-private partnerships in delivery of, infrastructure is an imperative. So these are some of the things that we must do to that. Right. When we talk about the power now, today, based on our power audits, we require in the state a minimum of, over 10,000 megawatts. Today, from the national grid, we get less than 1,000 megawatts supplied to Lagos.
Just tie it down to what we intend to achieve, or what you intend to achieve with the forthcoming economic summit in Lagos.
Well, that's really where I was leading to, just drilling down to that particular area.
Right.
So we're talking about an immediate, shortfall of over 9,000 megawatts that needs to be, addressed. And we haven't even really factored in, the suppressed demand. There are, for instance, how many people in Lagos cook with electricity? People don't even think, you haven't sorted out power for basic whatever. So as power becomes, more available, there are many uses for power that will. So you're going to actually see the demand, whatever. So in our, plan, state development plan up to 2025, okay, we reckon that this state must be in a position to, they must have at least about 15,000 megawatts of power in that time frame. We're not talking about how much government needs to. So thankfully, the power sector is now in private hands. And part of what we want to do at the forthcoming summit is highlight this immense investment opportunity. On the average, to get 1,000 megawatts of power, you need $1 billion of investment. And so if you need to add, 10,000 megawatts, that's $10 billion of investment at the minimum that is required.
How much?
For generation.
How much progress would you say that you've made from the last time you held the summit, the 6th summit in 2012, yes, and, till now? I looked at some of your resolutions. You're working more with the federal government, improving power, improving infrastructure. How much would you say that you've been able to achieve as a result of that summit, from 2012?
Well, at the last summit in, 2012, we brought the focus to be on 4 key sectors of our economy: power, agriculture, transportation, and housing. If you take the first letters of each of these, you'll have PATH, which is path, and that's what we talk about. We said these key sectors, these 4 sectors, represent the path to, the industrial, growth and development that we see in Lagos. Because each of those sectors in and of themselves represent significant growth opportunities. But they're not just significant growth areas in themselves, but they're also growth drivers. So if you take the first one, the P, the power, I just sketched, the opportunity there now, 10,000 megawatts of additional power immediately, required $10 billion of investment in generation alone, talk less of distribution and the others. But, if we had 10,000 megawatts of additional power in Lagos today, just think about, what that will mean for our economy. If you take agriculture, today, a little less than 10% of the food, consumed in Lagos is produced in Lagos. Okay? And every day, Lagosians spend, something in the order of 4 billion naira on food. If, in this medium term, what this, development plan, our goal is to raise that to a minimum of 25%, okay, which means we need to grow the food production in the state across different, food sectors by about 150%. What have we done achieved since the last summit? If you take power, for instance, we have gotten off the ground now 3 IPPs dedicated to the state, to the state government. There's the Akute Power, which is to the water works, the major water works. We have the island power, which was island, which powers all of the state, the hospitals, the state house, the courts, the schools, about 20 major streets, street lighting in Lagos there. The water works, Nikon and Dolphin, estate. We have the Alausa Power. So all of the Lagos State Secretariat, the State House, the House of Assembly, and a number of other related infrastructure, okay, around there are now on the IPP. And we have 2 more of those, that are going to be delivered.
Are we going to have consumer-related issues feature at this economic summit?
Oh yes, this summit is going to look at a wide variety of issues relating to the power sector. For instance, there's going to be a session on dealing with the transition issues. Our power industrial power sector is in transition from a public sector monopoly to a private, sector controlled power market. There are transition issues. There are consumer issues, there are labor issues, and so, for instance, we have on the panel for looking at the transition issues, we have Issa Remu, the vice president of the NLC, featuring there. We have operators, we have our producers, we have consumers, we have regulators, we have all kinds of shades of.
Okay. All right, we have to thank you for coming on. Mr. Ben Akabueze is the Commissioner of Economic Planning and Budget. He's also chair of the forthcoming summit. Thank you for coming on this morning.
Thank you, my pleasure.
Okay, so that's it today on Sunrise Daily. We thank you all for watching. We'll see you tomorrow. I'm Chamberlain Uso.
Well, thank you, Mark Ogun.
And I'm Neil Taigbe. Thank you for watching.
Bye now.